Liz Saville Roberts.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Ddirprwy Araith. And it's a privilege to follow the Honourable Member for Elmet and Rothwell with his poignant account of the Canaries and particularly his family histories. As somebody who grew up in South East London as well, I appreciate many of the stories. And I wonder if this would interest the Minister as well. My grandfather, Oliver Frederick Noyes, enlisted with the Wiltshire Yeomanry. He was from Salisbury, and the Wiltshire Yeomanry, of course, saw a service in the Third Battle of Ypres. And it is really a source of pride. There's been so many references already today to the people of Wales, all the people who were affected by this conflict, and also particularly to Hedd Wyn, who I would really much like to turn to now. Now, the county of Meirionnydd was the home of Ellis Humphrey Evans, one of, we have heard, of course, of the hundreds of thousands of casualties at the Third Battle of Ypres. A campaign described by the Prime Minister at the time, of course, David Lloyd George, Earl of Dwyfor, as one of the greatest disasters of the war. To his superior officers in the 15th Battalion of the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, 30-year-old Private Evans was most likely just another raw rural recruit, conscripted into the army because of a surfeit of sons already working on the family farm. Ellis Evans died on the 31st of July, shot in the stomach. We've heard of the soldier's prayer. Shot in the stomach is one of the most agonising things that somebody can suffer. On the very first day in the Battle of Pilcombe Ridge, he is buried in Artillery Wood Cemetery. There is a war memorial in the centre of Trawsfynydd, which commemorates his death and the loss of 32 other men from the community or from the nearby army camps. And this, of course, is where the story changes key. Ellis Evans could just be the smudged portrait in a dog-eared photograph forgotten by the third generation. Save for the fact that we don't remember him as Ellis Evans, we remember him as Hedd Wyn, not as Private 6117, but as a chaired poet, Prifar Eisteddfod Penbedw, Eisteddfod y Gadair Ddu, that was held in Birkenhead. Ellis Evans, whose literary name was Hedd Wyn, grew up in a community where poetry in the strict rules of Cynghanedd flourished. Men, and it must be said at the time that they were probably almost exclusively men, but men from all social backgrounds could win accolade in metrical, alliterative poetry whose unbroken tradition can be traced over a millennium and more. 16 days before his death, Private Evans had posted his entry of the 1917 Eisteddfod of Wales to the adjudicators. He had come second in the previous year's Eisteddfod, and he was never to know that this time he would be victorious. The winner of the awdl in the Eisteddfod is awarded a chair. The winner's chair at the 1917 Birkenhead Eisteddfod was draped in a black cloth. A Gadair Ddu, the black chair, crafted by a Belgian refugee, it became, of course, the symbol of mourning for every Welsh-speaking farmhouse, manse and workers' cottage. The bond of tragedy to unite mothers, bringing telegrams to the chapel minister to translate from English into Welsh. Our stories are our common heritage, and what we choose to remember becomes our history. Some stories are more retold than others. Parc Cenedlaethol yr Ynys, Snowdonia National Park Authority, are to be commended for taking the initiative to bring together a national investment worth £4 million, with support also from National Heritage Memorial Fund, Heritage Lottery Fund and Welsh Government. This money has enabled the purchase and renovation of Hedd Wyn's family farm at Ysgwrn, Trawsfynydd. It has just reopened this year as a publicly owned treasure for the nation. Perhaps the Minister might appreciate visiting Ysgwrn. It is an impressive place. Before that, before this initiative was taken, Hedd Wyn's nephew, Gerald Williams, made sure the door was open to visitors. I remember taking my daughter Lisa there 10 years ago. Only the ground floor could you visit. Kitchen to the left, the parlour to the right. The kitchen, hooks in the rafters, a fire always in the range. And the one thing that made an impression on me, this house-proud family, layer upon layer of wallpaper to keep the place smart. To the right, the parlour. Now this is where you keep your Eisteddfod chair. And there it was, full of Eisteddfod chairs and newspaper cuttings. Visitors could pore over a Gadardi. It was there, you could put your hand on it. Brittle with Celtic, romantic Celtic ornamentation. Repaired, and again you could see this, repaired with dark wax to match the colour of the dark wood. But although this makes a romantic story, this was of course history at its most vulnerable. There is a pathos in the solitary guardian, Gerald Williams, but it took almost a century for the authorities of Wales to committee, and committee is a verb in Wales, to committee their way to safeguarding the symbols of Wales's national war poet. The film, Hedd Wyn, was released in 2005 and became the first Welsh language film to be nominated for an Oscar. It's to the credit of the director Paul Turner and scriptwriter Alan Llwyd that this film has been shown to generations of school students. To close, Deputy Speaker, here is Hedd Wyn's englyn to his friend, David Owen Evans of Blaenau Ffestiniog, and you will find this on gravestones across Wales and also on the memorial in Trawsfynydd. David Owen Evans was killed in the trenches. I Aberth nid a ei heibio, I wyneb anwyl nid a'n ango, i'r almaen ysteinio, I dorn di yn I waed o. What I would like to mention is very close. There's been some discussion about pacifist attitudes, about celebrating war. The one thing that it would be beneficial if we could do in this place was we put the energy and the time and the emotion and the imagination and the funding into building peace as vigorously as we do into dealing with war. Diolch yn fawr iawn.